I'm Eric Barden.
I'm Amy Barden.
And this is another episode of Bombardin'. Today we are talking to Johnny Ohta, and we're saying his name correctly because it's not Ohta, it's Ohta, who's just a profound operator in youth rehab, in kids that are going through extraordinary issues, homelessness, addiction, abuse.
Yeah, I met him a long time ago when I lived here before, actually. He's one of the few leaders who's still in place, just one day at a time, trying to change the lives of young people. And he's one of the few resources, his team, for kids who are struggling with addiction, right? There are many more resources if you're 18 and older. And so he's just a godsend for a lot of people. He's a really important, influential voice in the space. He's good at connecting with people, and I don't really know why. Like, I've never been on a ride along with his team. I don't know exactly what he's doing or how he's doing it. And I actually don't know anything about his backstory. I think he's been at Ryther for 3 decades, most of his life.
I think the word on the street is that he genuinely cares about these kids. Not that other people don't, but he genuinely cares about them, and they know it.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to let them know that it's authentic love and caring that he has for them, which I think, obviously builds relationship and the ability to guide people when you have that relationship established first. So, there's countless lives that he's saved.
Yeah.
And, so it's God's work. It's really, really important. And I'm delighted that we have an opportunity to shed some light on it and hopefully glean some knowledge from him about what we should be doing.
Yep. Let's go.
Let's do it. So welcome, Johnny Ohta. How are you doing?
Ohta. We're teaching
Ohta,
everybody.
You can say it all the different ways.
Say it seriously on the record. Say
My
it.
name is Johnny Ohta. O-H-T-A. My name's Johnny O'Connell Ohta.
Okay. The O'Connell threw me very
Because my mother is from Ireland, was from Ireland.
Ireland. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, we're really excited to have a conversation today and learn about your rich experience helping folks. But I think what's really important is for folks to understand how you became such a profound influence, particularly on young people. And it's born out of your own experiences. And that's really the heart of your credibility is you've climbed the mountain yourself. And so helping others to climb it, you have particular credibility. Tell us a little bit about how you became
I don't know the
Johnny
origins.
Johnny O'Connell Ohta.
I appreciate that. And I will say this, that it was not intentional. I didn't plan ahead and say, if I do this, then that will happen and that will happen. And I will find myself in that place. That did not happen.
Same.
Very rarely have I done. I see young people right now that are super intentional about what they're going to do in the next 3 to 5 years. I never was. And I would say that I have thought about this a little bit. And I asked you guys, can I swear or can I cry? So, here we go. No, just kidding. I grew up in San Francisco in a neighborhood called Potrero Hill, and have 4 siblings. And where I grew up, there was a projects 2 blocks away on one side and 6 blocks away on the other side, and we were just it was a very intense environment that I grew up in.
Where are you in birth order?
I have a little brother, an older brother, and 2 older sisters.
Okay.
So I'm down there. I'm down there. Actually, to be honest, my sisters kind of navigated things. We all grew up in a challenging environment. That's very nice to say.
So I have a strong bias toward middle children from big families. I think we're the greatest.
Oh.
Yeah, most diplomatic.
My little brother, I think my little brother got the brunt of a lot of stuff. So, the neighborhood I grew up in there was a lot of violence and a lot of things going on the street. And to be honest, I was really attracted to that. I thought My dad was a longshoreman. My mom worked for his union for the ILWU. We live right up the hill from the docks, so he went down to work every day. And we're in a working class neighborhood that right now is not a working class neighborhood.
Yeah.
If you have been to San Francisco,
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a very rich environment in my home, and outside of the home, it was also very rich, but in a way that it turns out actually that being under threat of violence as a child is not great.
It's not great. Yeah. Yeah.
As you may know.
I was just talking to someone the other day about even being in that state of hypervigilance. We were talking about living unhoused, and I was like, we are not actually naming some of the issues here, that there's just no way to be in these circumstances, especially as a kid developmentally, where you always have to be on guard,
Yeah.
Waiting for the other shoe to drop. And so one of my questions immediately is, did you have exposure to other ways of being, or was that just your world and it was all you knew?
So I was going to talk about that because my parents were really a lot about exposure, and they realized they were just very, very wise, and they did not get to see the fruition of what they did for me because two things happened. One, they would figure out how to get scholarships to these summer camps, and so they sent us to these summer camps down the peninsula.
Yeah.
One of them was down in Los Altos, and it was a nice camp with all these nice kids riding horses and doing nice things.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of that camp. And they told my mom, they said, listen, Johnny can't come here again. The story's going to go out like that. But he should go to this backpacking wilderness camp up in the Trinity Alps. And I was 14, and so I got on the bus and went to this camp, and there were all these kids from Palo Alto and Berkeley. And if you know anything about the Bay Area, there's a little different than where I was from. And I got to that camp and I hated it. And I was wearing all my street clothes with my Ben Davises on. I was wearing all my stuff, and I was just being tough and cool and like, this is stupid. And
is it because it was hard?
I just felt out of place.
Yeah.
And we went camping. My parents did take us different places, so I knew a little bit about that. But I just didn't. I was like, what am I doing here? Just a lot of teenagers now. But you mentioned exposure, so I do think it has a lot of value. Because I went on a hike, took this guy, his counselor took me on hikes 4 miles, nothing. It's a backpacking camp. And I threw my pack down. I was like, I'm not going anywhere. And he's like, this black dude from Richmond. He's like, get up. And I was like, what? And he's, you got to get up, man. We got to go over to this lake right here. We're hiking there, and you're wearing all those clothes, and it's kind of hot, and you should probably take some off, put your backpack on, and we're going to go to this lake. And I was like, oh, man, okay, And so then I went there, but it was about him more than being in the wilderness and hiking. I was like, okay.
So did you respect him in that moment when he was directive? Because what always cracks me up is by today's standards, that would be harsh. It wouldn't be trauma-informed. It wouldn't be sympathetic to you.
I mean, I became a counselor at this camp, so I had to get 8 to 10 to 12 kids from this place to that place with backpacks on.
Yeah.
So I knew I was in his place 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, where I was taking somebody else's children on a backpacking trip, and I had to get them to the lake because we weren't going to sit on the trail all day.
Yeah.
I learned that later. But really what happened was it was exposure to being out of the city and being away from the environment. And a lot of the environments I grew up in were really beautiful and really rich, but some of them were not great. And the schools were tough. They were tough. They were tough schools.
So was that sort of the entrance into your career later at Ryther, being a counselor?
It took so long. So then the next year I go home and I'm sitting there and my mom's like, what's wrong with you? Well, I'm kind of missed that camp.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, we're good. So then next year, I ran around, got in trouble, got arrested. But when
tell us a little bit about that. I mean, that I really want folks to understand where you're coming from. I mean, we're going to get into what you do now, but tell us a little bit about what was the interactions with law enforcement? What was the crime? What was the what else was going on there?
I like to hang out with my friends on the street and run around and get high and steal things. And was very interesting because I thought that I was coming to this thing. So I have this big knob on my hand right here, and this is a knob from being arrested by the San Francisco police, and they grabbed me and they took my hand, they put the handcuffs on it, and smashed it, and broke my wrist. I was 15. And it was a neighborhood precinct right down the hill from where we lived. So then they arrested me. They took me down the hill. This was for graffiti and loitering. Took me down the hill, told me it was rough. They were driving around the neighborhood telling me how they took me down the pier and they said, we should just throw you off the pier. And they took me into the police station, which was 3 blocks from my house. And my mom came down there screaming, because this is a neighborhood police station, and got me out. Well, I wouldn't tell my mom that I broke my wrist.
Yeah.
You know, because I just wanted to be like, okay, we're good, and let me go. And so I never got treated. And as it went on, what happened was like my friends and I would hang out up on the corner. We were called the 20th Street Gang. And we were just kind of a mixed group of people from different families. It turns out as we would get arrested and go up to the juvenile there, my parents would come pick me up, and my other friends didn't have parents to pick them up, so they would stay. I didn't know that. If they called somewhere and there was a parent to get them, they came and got me. And then we'd go to court, and then we'd do all this stuff, and then I'm on probation, and then we'd get arrested again. It was like burglary, loitering, theft, drinking in public. Some of my friends there was a protective factor in this group of people, because it was in San Francisco. If you went to another neighborhood, if we went to the Mission, if we went to the Richmond, if we went to the Sunset, if we went to the Excelsior, you had to be completely aware that someone was just going to run up on you and just want to fight.
Yeah.
Every single neighborhood. It did not matter. So when we left 3rd Street, Potrero, or the waterfront and entered another neighborhood, this is how it was. People just ran up and said, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
This is how it was.
Yeah.
So I had friends who were a little bit more inclined to be like, so what's your problem?
Yeah.
I was much more inclined to run back, straight back, or take the bus to our neighborhood. So I would be, more protected. I ended up getting arrested. Well, actually, I haven't talked about this a long time. One time, a friend of mine were really drunk, and we decided to break into a drugstore. So we kicked a door in, and we broke into the drugstore. It turns out that that's actually a serious crime. We sold some alcohol and some cigarettes, but we were arrested for a felony. And as it played out, he ended up having to stay in juvenile for longer, and I was able to get out, come home, get on probation, and deal with that. And also, it's our neighborhood drugstore, and we were walking down the street, and he said, I'm going to kick in the door. And so he kicked it in, and we ran and grabbed a bunch of stuff and left.
Yeah.
But it turns out that that's actually a felony.
Yeah.
It's a drugstore.
Yeah. And you were still a kid. So
we're kids.
Yeah. So when did it change? I mean, I'm fascinated. I had no idea about your backstory.
2 things happened about the exposure thing that I would just say, because I have thought about this a little bit. The other thing that happened was my dad was a longshoreman, and he'd go to work every day, and they loaded ships by hand then. And he'd be like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my son, Johnny. Like, what am I going to do? Like, and this guy that he worked with, Brian Nelson, said, well, I should take him sailing. Like, oh. So he had a boat in Berkeley, and he just started taking me sailing. And,
Did he teach you how to sail?
He totally taught me how to sail.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
And I sail all the time right now. I spend a lot of time involved with the Centerfoot and boats, racing on sailboats.
Nice.
But my dad taking me out with Brian Nelson, who then taught me how to sail out of Berkeley. It was wild and crazy quite often, but he just showed me what to do. And I didn't know the technical aspects of it, but I learned how to leave with no motor, sail out into the bay, sail back on my own. He ended up giving my family the small wooden boat.
Oh, wow.
Of course, my addiction was present, but I didn't understand that it was an addiction.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, because if it's just normal, You know, I mean, you wouldn't think about it in those terms.
I mean, I was getting high every day.
Yeah.
We woke up in the morning. This is, and I can speak a little bit more, but you know, when you're in junior high school and you wake up in the morning and you go steal beer and smoke weed and drink beer on a rooftop before going to 7th or 8th grade.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's pretty intense.
It's not good.
It's
not recommended.
Right. I'm just saying. I don't recommend it for anybody.
Yeah.
This is our PSA.
so I mean, it's so,
Yeah.
you know, and then as things go on, like, I don't know. Now I'm just kind of navigating the world. I kept going to this wilderness camp. I kept coming home. I kept getting in trouble. I kept hanging around with my friends. I kept tight with my family. Things were good. Things were bad. Things were hard.
So is it safe to say that you had sort of two competing
very
interests? You had enough positive stuff going on in your life that was drawing you in one direction, but you were independently attracted to the streets and hooliganism and sort of being an out of control youngster. Hanging out with a group of kids.
You just said hooliganism and youngster.
He did.
Yeah.
He did say hooliganism.
Is that another word you taught me?
He did say
Definitely not.
hooliganism.
Okay. All right.
But other people have called me a hooligan.
Yeah. So are you aware as a kid that there's some good stuff happening here, and then maybe I shouldn't be doing this? Or
I think some other people were aware of it.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, when I went to this backpacking camp, and all the cool dudes were good backpackers, and then all the girls that liked the cool dudes, they were good backpackers. So I was like, well, I think I should be a good backpacker. I came home, I told my dad, I was like, I think I want to be a backpacker, and he got so excited. We're going to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the Eric Ryback book on hiking, you know, because he was so excited.
Yeah.
But what I was attracted to, unfortunately, was being cool.
Yeah.
And the streets were cool. And I grew up in the 60s in San Francisco. The streets were vibrant and alive. And also we live in a small house in a city where houses are this far apart from each other. So what you have is the outside. And so there was this pull. I didn't know that was a pull, but yes, it was a pull because it's a pull that kept pulling me for years. But at that time, you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and it turns out that I never actually became a very clearly thoughtful, intentional adult for quite a while longer after that.
What age do you think things really started to click? You know, where you had some self-awareness and you started to chart a course that was intentional.
I think my parents tried a lot of things, but when I turned 18 and I was still running around with my friends and trying to be a backpacking counselor, and a bunch of these people that I met from Berkeley and Palo Alto were going to college, and I was like, where are you guys going?
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going to college. And I said, nobody told me about that.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't in the plans.
But I dropped out of the 9th grade. I went to, I was the first student at the alternative junior high school in San Francisco, number one student. I went to.
Could be number one, Johnny.
Yeah, number one. Yeah. And this person said, we're going to start an alternative junior high. So I went to this little cubicle down the hill from my house, and I was the only student there with this nice lady, this nice teacher that wanted to help us. And then I ended up going to regular high school for about a half a year, didn't go, and ended up going to an alternative high school called Opportunity High School number 2. And that high school there was a teacher there that we did backpacking, fishing, hiking, sailing, but it was really a far fringe school for some people that were very troubled. I didn't know that because they were my friends. Most of them are not alive right now. But it did give me not an education, to be honest, but some grounding, and some other people that were really meant well for me, I would say.
All right. So let's wrap up sort of the So you went to some alternative schools. You dabbled back in the regular school. You struggled with that. You're drinking beer and smoking weed and doing some bad stuff, but you're also being exposed to some really good stuff. And you have a couple parents that are engaged with you, which is obviously critical. I think getting outside can't be. I mean, you mentioned it. The street was outside. Well, so's backpacking, and so's fishing, and so's sailing. It's so critical. That's this whole, kids in basements playing video games now is so unhealthy because kids aren't outside like they used to be. All right, so now you're plugging along there. Does your addiction, do you hit like a low point? Like what's the low point?
Yeah. So
because we got to get to all the great stuff that you're doing.
Oh, no,
now.
I understand. No, I mean, that's the trail of it is that my addiction was always present and I never really understood that I had an addiction. I remember seeing some of my friends go into withdrawal from alcohol when we were like 16 and 17. And I was like, man, what's wrong with you? And then later on, I used every single drug that was available. So used psychedelics, cocaine. But my friends and I made a pact that we would never inject drugs, that we would never, because we saw people on the street. So we're like, we're never going to do this. And we made a blood pact, cut our fingers and all that. Well, as it goes on, I'm continuing to to struggle and not really know what I'm doing. So I'm living in the city. I don't have a job. I don't know or find different jobs. And as that happened, I was exposed more to people that were using cocaine, heroin, and other substances, because I'm a substance use counselor, other drugs. And then I do recall very clearly that some of my friends that grew up out in the Sunset were doing heroin. And I remember the day, actually. This guy was like, you should try this. And I did. And I remember the day, the moment. And that's when, everything changed again. That then an IV drug user, now I'm using heroin. Now we're on this other path. And what that path ended up being was that every single day you were going to try to figure out how to acquire that substance. Yep. That's all, acquire substance. And then I kept struggling and stumbling and struggling and using and finding different friends and not having a job and not having direction, really.
How old were you at that point?
Oh, I was like from 21 to 27.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
So you're an active heroin user.
Well, and then I'd go up in the wilderness and stop using all summer.
Really?
That's amazing, actually. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And I had these people up there that loved me. I had these people that loved me, and they were doing other things. And so I go up, and then one summer I went up there, and the mother of my daughter was there, and she said, I live on Vashon. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, really? I was like, I'm coming up there. And she said, okay. And so I went home. I told my dad, I was like, I'm going to go up to Washington State. I met this girl. She lives on this island. And he gave me, I remember I got $50, a wallet, and a belt. And he said, you need a wallet, a belt, and $50. So,
you'll be fine.
And I go to Vashon, and it was so interesting because I get there and we're in this little cabin. There was no electricity, no water. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
It's down in this little ravine.
Yeah.
That was great.
Well, if you like nature.
And then I'm smoking weed still. I can't find drugs, but then I'm like on pause. I'm still drinking alcohol. I don't understand my addiction. Then I get a job at the tofu factory. I go pick apples. I do different things. My daughter's mom's on this path to be a sign language interpreter. She has intention. Mm-hmm. I lacking. And then we moved right behind Dick's on Broadway. Oh. And so there I am, still struggling. I don't know what to do. Got a job on Vashon, like helping a guy, do remodels. And I look at the Capitol Hill Times, and it says high drug trafficking area, 23rd and MOK. And I was like, oh, I should go check it out. Ugh. And this is a trigger, right? Yeah. And what happens is my addiction who I am as a person, as an addict, is I could kind of tamp it down. I could pause it. I could use marijuana.
Wow, that's
only.
fascinating. Not everybody can do that.
I went through a period where I drank 2 beers a day for a year and a half, you know, and it was just weird. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But I go down there. I know what street life is like. So I'm like, hey, what's up? Bam. 2 years of deep addiction in Seattle, Washington. And at that point, I didn't want anybody to know that I was an addict or using, so I would just acquire drugs and use them by myself. And then my daughter was born, so I put that on like mini pause, not great pause, just a pause. Just a lot of tumultuous things happened during that time. And then I was working at a job doing some remodel stuff, and I was going to get materials for the job. And I was also going to get drugs, and I got arrested. And this cop, I told you this story actually. So they pull me over. I'm over by Dravis, Lower Magnolia. Pull me over. I'm in my little truck, and they kind of go through stuff. They give me a ticket. They find some marijuana and a pill, and they're like, "All right, you're good to go." So I'm like, "Phew, okay, fine." Like, I'm off. I'll go back to work. I was an undercover addict, so basically nobody knew I was using.
Wow.
But the people I acquired the drugs from, and me, and so just when I was gonna leave, they were like, "Oh, let's look in the glove compartment." Bam.
Yeah.
So I find some other drugs, heroin, other things. I'm arrested. I go to jail.
What year was this?
1991.
I'm just trying to figure out if Eric arrested you or not.
No, I was a cop for 4 years at that point, but no.
91.
Yeah. I would have remembered.
Sitting in the back of the car, it was, I had handcuffs on me plenty of times in my life, but had a real break from that. And actually, it was pretty hard because I was, my daughter was almost 3.
Yeah.
I was trying to act like I was fine. Basically, I was trying to act like I was fine.
Yeah.
So you go to jail?
I go to jail, crying, King County, oh, it's terrible. I'll never do it again, never do it again, never do it again. So I got out of jail. They let me out at 12 o'clock at night. You know how it is.
I do.
Take a bus, walk home. I negotiated with myself that I should be able to drink a beer because I'm going to save my... I'm just going to have my last beer. So I do that, and I get home, and it's just messy. Everything's just messy. I'm trying to be a dad. I'm trying to be a father. I'm trying to support my family. I'm deep in addiction, and it's just messy. It's not good. And I deal with, the court case. I went to some meetings. I didn't really adjust. And then I kind of went about my way, continued to work a little bit, and got on methadone.
Oh, no.
And what happened is I was working at this job, and it was really funny because I'm old. So I got the phone book out, and it said, "Do you have drug problem?" It says, "Yes." I look in the yellow pages. It said, "Call this number." So I called the number, and I went up there to Midvale Clinic. "We can help you." And now I'm just trying to work and be a dad and do all these things and not let anybody know. So I go to the clinic, and they're like, "Yes, here's the thing. Here's what we do." And they're all strict. And then, they make me, do a whole intake and stuff like that. And then I do recall very well the first day that I went up to get dosed, and I felt this complete relief.
Yeah.
And I felt this complete relief because I didn't have to go do all the things I was doing every day.
Right, you're trying to clean things up. You were struggling, obviously, with trying to be a dad, trying to keep everybody so that nobody would know, and then so methadone then helps you.
It was
accomplish that.
I was like, oh my God, I can go to work and go home and keep up this also facade, to be quite honest, that everything is fine, because everything was not fine.
And is your intention at this point to get off drugs entirely, to step down? Or
I
are you
didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know, because I'll get to that actually. I didn't know because then I got on methadone, and I didn't tell anybody. And, there's just some sad moments and all that. Actually, I was on methadone. My mom got sick with cancer, and I went up there and said I was going to see my mom, and they said, well, you can't go. And I was like, what are you talking about? I can't go. And said, well, you're on this drug. You'll get sick if you leave. And I'm like, it's just I don't know. So it's like, what do you mean? Because I didn't think about it. I didn't know. I was just getting relief and going about my business. So, a bunch of stuff happened after that. Really difficult things, actually. My mom ended up passing away. But what really happened in my addiction was that I was able to utilize methadone at that time. But I hadn't really figured out how to put down other things. Like, I walk out of the clinic, someone was like, you should take this Klonopin, it's great. So I took it, bam, I'm out, right? Like, I'm just like on the floor. They're like, someone else is like, you should smoke crack, it's great with methadone. I'm like, wow, let's try that. Bam, this is great. What a great combination. Like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is my mind. So this is not great, right? So then things are just not good in general. I get kicked off the methadone program. I'm playing basketball with these guys, and they're like, you can go to this detox place downtown. And I was like, really? And so I was playing outdoor basketball all the time. So I found out about the detox place. I called my dad. My dad's in Beacon, New York, and I must have been 30, 32, 33. I'm like, Dad, I need your help. And he's kind of like, really? Like, what's going to be different, But my dad got in his car and drove from New York to Seattle.
That's amazing.
Took me to this little detox. I got kicked out of the detox. He said, oh, well. He's like, God damn it, Johnny. Oh, well. Maybe I'll swear in your podcast. Like, oh, shit, same shit. Like that. Like, my dad's been through a lot. I said, no, I'm good. So we get in a car and drive to Sundown M Ranch, right? And so I'm not well. Like, I'm not good. My daughter's mom took her wisely to her mother's. And I get to Sundown Ranch, and I'm not well, like, in so many ways, like detoxing, getting off methadone, my dad walks me into Sundown M Ranch, and he says, all right, see you later. And I just like, I'm like 32 years old. So I go in there, I'm walking around, I'm looking around, and then I just kind of buckled down. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't sleep for months and months and months, but I just kept walking around. Sundown has this, you can walk around the property. So I just kept walking every day, walking. And this one day, I had a counselor, his name was Lowell Tim, he's not alive anymore. And he says to me, Johnny, you can't do any drugs at all. And it hit me like a bolt of lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was somehow open-minded.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe someone told me that before. I don't know. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what? He said, yeah, you can't do any drugs at all. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
But from that moment, and a bunch of things happened in my life and my addiction, from that moment is when I figured out that I might be able to live without drugs, putting drugs and alcohol in my body. And then things went on, and I buckled down, and I got out of treatment, and I did every single thing possible. I walked up Seattle Central, and they said, did you graduate from high school? And I said, well, I don't know. And they looked it up, and I did. They gave me a diploma from this school. So I was like, okay, cool. So I go to this program up at Seattle Central.
That's amazing that he didn't know.
I had no idea, because they gave me a diploma. So I was like, cool. And I just dug in. And I dug into meetings, and I dug into going to school, and dug into staying home with my daughter, and dug into being a dad, and dug into trying to, my daughter's mom, it was just, if I said something like it was really hard, that's just not fair.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah.
living with a person who's an addict, who's lying to you all day, is beyond no fun. That's just the truth. So
this is so fascinating to me because I would have heard your name for the first time probably 13, 14 years ago because, I was working in foster care. Ryther was a really important partner to us, Mockingbird Society, Treehouse. There was a little cohort and we were all very tight and in support of one another. And I was always trying to stay on the front lines, even though I was in sort of the business administration side. I was always at the meetings, the information meetings, trying to really understand the experiences of these kids. And I was, I had 4 kids. So it was really just fascinating to understand. I remember asking a little girl once who was 11, totally parentified, right? Had been in the system with her siblings for years and years. And I was just asking regular mom questions. I said, what do you think you might want to do when you're grown up? And she said, oh, I never thought about that. And kind of changed the subject. And I thought, I never asked that question again, right? Because this little gal was in survival mode and it was about getting through the day. You were spoken of all the time. It was basically like, if nobody can get through to this kid, let's call Johnny. And so it was really, and then I kind of moved on. I moved out of state and then came back a couple of years ago. And I mentioned to you the day that I saw you on the front page of the Seattle Times, I was like, that is so awesome. Because I felt like everybody in the space knew you, but not that you were getting, honestly, the praise and admiration that you deserve sort of on a stage. And so tell me about that. Your career today, you're so effective. What are you doing that's different?
What I think that what's happened over time is, and I appreciate that, what has happened over time is that I got my first job working to Black and Latino adolescent alcohol and drug endeavor, and I worked with young gang-affiliated youth there, and I was an intern, and then I stayed there, and then I got a job working at a recovery house for adolescents at Ryther, and it was a 6-month program for adolescents in recovery, and of course I loved that job. I loved all my jobs, and then I worked at the Spruce Street overflow from detention. Back in the day, so very immersed in juvenile justice, juvenile rehabilitation, how addiction, drug, and alcohol affect people. Then I worked at the Spruce Street Secure CRC when it turned into like the runaway center. And then someone came up to me and said, somebody from Ryther said, well, do you want to work with homeless youth? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I like my job. So I went to a drop-in center for homeless youth, went to University District Youth Center, a little yellow building, and walked in, and there was just like kids everywhere and staff everywhere. It's kind of chaotic and messy. It was like, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I've been working in these environments with like formerly incarcerated kids who like to iron their clothes and stuff. And, but what happened right then and there was that I said, yeah, I'll work with homeless youth. And so from all of those other jobs that I had, in the last 17 years, it's been very zoomed in on 2 drop-in centers for homeless youth, the Orion Center and the University District Youth Center.
I'm on the youth care board. Do you know
I do.
That? Yeah.
And we're taking a hit. We're taking a beating actually out there.
Yeah.
We're losing a lot of stuff. I do think what happened though over time is that I kept on adapting to what was present, what was in front of me. Fascinatingly, and we may as well talk about this. So I brought this thing here. Actually, it's so funny because I was reminded of this, that everybody told me that Johnny's the guy that comes in and says drugs are bad, they wreck lives and kill people. So I forgot that I was that person. My friend reminded me the other day, Tyler Bowers, like, so I just came in super hard with this work and grabbing people and sitting with them and finding avenues for them. This is criminal justice system, juvenile justice, foster care, LGBT, trans, art, music, take them sailing, basketball. I had a basketball. I just was like, let's do all the things now. Let's go. Do you want to go sailing? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I got kind of like excited about that. But at the time, what happened was that the movement, the harm reduction movement, was really coming in hard. And I, as in many things, was super resistant. So I just,
And was that because of your own experience?
you know what
You know, with the
happened?
methadone cocktails and
I think what's really important for me, and I've thought about this a lot, is that my personal experiences actually doesn't mean that that's the policy that should be done.
right.
My personal experience that I was able to find recovery, live in recovery, relapse, find my way back, participate in recovery in the way that helped me with the foundation that I was given, which I did have a foundation of exposure, right? So,
which not everybody has. So
Right.
I think, are you saying that your own personal experience has been also informed by all of the other experiences that you've helped people through, so that you recognize there's not one path. There's a variety of paths. So tell us real quick about harm reduction and why that approach was not your
Concerned
cup
you.
of tea.
well, I fought it, right? So a lot. It's like, what is this? What is that? What is this all about? And then this guy, Caleb Bantagreen, started inviting me to this drug trends group. And I'd go to this group, and it was a bunch of cops and a bunch of harm reduction people and a bunch of HIV/AIDS people. I was working with a lot of positive kids at the time, HIV positive kids, and they were all at this table together. And then Ron Jackson from Evergreen, all these people are there, and they're talking about methadone, and I'm like going crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are these people saying this stuff? I brought a friend there, and then I kept kind of like getting a little riled up, but pausing myself, get riled up and save it for later. And then it took me like 5 years to realize that what Caleb Bantagreen was about was death prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was about was this life enhancing. But it took me like 5 years
Yeah.
of being like, what is this? What are these people talking about? Why are they doing this? What is this about? It just, things don't like sit until they sit with me.
Yeah, I think this is a debate that goes on about, rehab and helping folks and all the time, the harm reduction folks, the housing first folks, the rehab first, or the accountability. I mean, I think there's a place for all of these things. And certainly, keeping people alive is an important thing. I think the thing that I am frustrated with sometimes is I hear a perspective that keeping people alive is the goal, is the only goal. And the goal, I think this combination that you're talking about, where, yeah, we keep folks alive, but that's not the end state. The end state should be sobriety. The end state should be not on any drugs, to include, medically assisted treatment. Get folks completely sober should be the end goal. And I think sometimes the investment in the harm reduction thing, there's almost a narrative that, we're keeping people alive, so we're winning. No, you're not winning. No, we're not. That's a step. That's the first step. This is my take, and I want yours.
So the thing is, everything. There was this in our community, in our work, we used to say BC and AC, before crack, after crack in neighborhoods. Right? We know about that. You know about that. Right. And right now it's before fentanyl and after fentanyl.
Yep.
So whatever I was doing in 2018, taking these kids sailing, let's do this art project. You're getting a job. You're going to treatment. We're getting you housed. We're doing all these things. We're just, you're going to college. My other guy, got his PhD in math. We're just going down all these paths, right?
That's before fentanyl.
And then it's before, that's before fentanyl.
I think that is the point. I think that is what people don't understand, is that we are trying to apply strategies that were effective in 2010 to these lethal drugs today. And everybody who knows anything about it medically reaffirms this is lethal. It is not a recreational drug. This is lethal.
It's pandemic, epidemic, George Floyd. We all know it's pandemic, epidemic, George Floyd.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Dr. Jennifer Hook had built a clinic at the Orion Center.
Yeah.
At the same time, we were working with adolescents in all realms, in children's, on the street, in juvenile.
Yeah.
Parents calling us, and sure enough, 2021, families, parents, juvenile, probation counselors, whoever, we just get like 45 kids who are under 18 addicted to fentanyl.
Yeah.
And we're starting, initiation. And there was nurses in detention that couldn't prescribe. So we were doing telemedicine, and I was delivering it to juvenile detention for them to bring inside to give to these kids before they got out. We were just doing all this creative stuff. We were driving all around King County, meeting with young people, meeting with families, a lot of family work, a lot of talking to families.
And people didn't know. I mean, even when I started a couple of years ago, sometimes I'd be out like with the Health One team, outreaching folks. And what they were trying to do is drive awareness that the drug supply is poisoned. And I still remember an encounter. The woman I was with was saying, this drug will kill you. You need to avoid fentanyl. She's naming it and being kind of academic. And he said, no, I just take blues, and so Chloe Gale, I really admire a lot. That's how she talks about it, that the drug supply is poisoned and that people weren't intentionally.
Everything is tainted now.
Yeah.
Fentanyl.
And Eric, when we were first getting to know each other, he was explaining, again, just through the narcotics perspective, what happened on the streets and how if you wanted to stay in business, you had to start lacing these drugs. So I want to know, what is your recommendation? It's been the leading cause of death for people under 40 since I think 2018, right? Overdose. Yeah. So what do you think we should do if you got a 17-year-old who's smoking fentanyl that has been dosing a couple times?
Well,
what do you do?
We get those all the time.
Yeah. So what should the policy be?
I'm going to say two things. One is that as we're seeing, I've been gifted with, I don't know that's a gift, working with the coroner's drug surveillance team. I don't think it's a gift because it's a little too close to death for me, but we appreciate them. There's a couple of things. One is what we saw in 2021, 22, 23. Now we're seeing less young people that are becoming addicted to fentanyl now. This is in King County because I understand King County. What's happening right now is immediately we get a call, we go meet with the kid, we're doing an assessment, we're just talking to them, finding out if they have any family, if they're in foster care, if they're living with anybody, doing whatever, building like a whole, my coworker Abigail Woods and Tal Rizzo are the greatest gifts that I've gotten in the last while, because I have flown solo for different times in my career, and I'm not flying solo now. So I have these two people that can go out and engage with people on a very different level than they could be on the street, in juvenile, in a house, in a treatment center, in any place. And we just sit down and talk to them and try to figure out, I always tell them, it's what drugs, how much, how long. It's all about what drugs, how much, how long. Because the how long matters. Yeah. If you've been smoking fentanyl that maybe you didn't even know was fentanyl.
Right.
Right. But do you have withdrawal symptoms? What are your withdrawal symptoms like? What are you willing to do? Who do you have in your life that can support you? You have nobody, you have somebody. And then it doesn't take long to do that assessment. And then we just figure out what we can do to help them and offer them. I believe every single person that works in this work should be able to offer the whole show. Yeah. I'm talking the whole show. Yeah. And that is from
coordinated efforts across the continuum. That's crazy talk, Johnny. That's one of the things that we are always talking about. The disjointed, siloed responses are not as effective as you call it, the whole show, where you can tailor a response based on the needs of that kid. And
it's the 5 stages of change. So you're just looking at it and you're just like, a bunch of, I don't care, I'm good. Tal Rizzo, my coworker, just met someone. We were down the Health 99 thing yesterday and got a new person been only using meth for 2 months, and they love it. Yeah. They think it's great. Yeah. Most people who are in severe addiction don't love it, and they don't think it's great. And most people that are pretty beat up down there in some of the areas that we were down in, in the ID yesterday, 12th and Jackson, talking to a lot of people. I saw a lot of people I know there, a lot of young people. I met with like 5 people that I have worked with for a while. They don't like it. They're not. And then we're just like figuring out what we can do in the moment, what we can do, get them to show up. And in our work, it's all about the phones.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get you phones. They lose phones. There's a family actually. There's a woman called Paula Becker. She wrote a book called House on Stilts, and their son suffered from addiction, and their son ended up dying. But in the course of all that, they were able to have money to give to support some nonprofits. They called me and asked me, and I sent them a bunch of other places. And they came back to me later. They went to youth care. Youth care didn't answer the phone. And they came back and thought, Johnny, we haven't found places that served our son that we want to help. And then I was like, this is typical me. Mm. Oh, I work for a nonprofit. Maybe you can support us. And so from then on, what has happened with the support of the Becker Brown family is that we can buy people phones.
Yeah.
We can get people Orca cards. We buy people
so that you
food.
can stay in contact, so that they can get to where they need to be.
You picture, I'll just say a little story. Like you're overdosed. Abby or myself talks to you. We get you a phone. We come meet you the next day. We get you some food. We try to get you in shelter. Maybe we get you in shelter, and then we ask you if you want to go for a walk, or I'll be like, do you want to go sailing down on Lake Union, or we're just gonna switch up our game a little bit. Let's go to the Arboretum. Let's go sit by the water. Like that's the kind of stuff that we're able to do with the freedom and creativity that we have. In this work right now, with the team that I have, with the doctor that I have, there's a doctor that works with us, Dr. Taryn Hansen. And we've just been, actually what's happening is we're just responding to this fentanyl crisis, and we're responding to the shifting. It's shifting right now. Yeah. It's shifted from last year. It's shifted from the blues to the powder. Yeah. It's going to shift again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always bemoaning how, the bureaucracy is not at all designed to be flexible and adaptable. And it's wild, the disconnects. I mean, you could see when you go back and you look at the trends, and Eric's told me, like, no, we knew 15, 16, 17, we knew what was coming.
It's on the East Coast. We knew it was coming our way.
Yeah, but like public health is not necessarily conferring, with police narcotics. And then bureaucrats have limited understanding. And I do feel like we're getting to a much better place where people are understanding simple truths, that people are different and that their paths into recovery look different. And what I observe is exactly what you named. If somebody has a strong family structure, had a strong sense of identity and purpose and hobbies and things, it's easier to return back to that, right? Yeah. And then there are other folks, again, most of my career, I've worked with kids who were born into none of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so it takes a lot of imagination to think of a future state that you've never experienced, that you've never known. I love the It Gets Better campaign, because like you don't know that until you know that.
The thing, I was on a drop-in center one day and I met with this kid, and he had 2 parents at home. And I was like, what are you doing here? Yeah. Because now I had, at that point, had met over 1,000 young people.
Yeah.
And had not met a young person who had some solid place to go back to. Like, they just don't, for all these different reasons. Many people are poor, really, truly poor, suffer from addiction, kicked to the curb, trans, LGBTQ. Like, that story goes on. It's never stopping. It's still going on right now. I would say this about the work, and I just think it's so important to say that the beauty of working with young people, the resilience to watching them change. And that's one of the things, like, for us, because we work with people young, I have a lot of clients that I still stay in touch with who are the oldest ones, like 44 now. Yeah. Who's like running a store on Whidbey Island with 4 kids, awesome. 3 kids in college. Amazing. I have all those. My gift is that I'm witnessing these young people thrive. And so many, they're in recovery, not in recovery. They're they've navigated a way to live life that's not homeless, not on the street. Addiction's not driving them to death. Like, and so I think that with my team and the beauty that we're able to just embrace on a daily basis. I went down to Health 99 and one of my guys was there and they called me to come down and just like embrace this young person who's been through a lot and has still got a ways to go, but just looking at him and being like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. If you talk to you for a minute, you understand that your cup is filled by tangible improvements in young people's lives. And that's all of us share like that. That's everybody should be Team Ohta on that. What's your philosophy? What is the philosophy? What is the overriding principles?
Little question.
Yeah, she's getting situated. She wants the answer to this. What is it that you want folks to understand about the work? What is the philosophy that makes you successful?
I took some notes about this, but I'm not looking at them. So with myself and then with my team, and then I have a couple of other coworkers that I've worked with who are just, Kelsey Brennan's one of them, that we we call ourselves long game grinders.
Okay.
Long game grinders, because we're going
Say a little
hard.
bit more about that.
So basically, if I met someone yesterday, the likelihood that a bunch of things will happen, and in 2 or 3 years from now, we'll either be a cheerleader and we'll be supporting whatever they're doing, or we'll be going to the hospital or going to the jail or talking to somebody about what we can do next. But we're walking with them. We're housing them. I have like 12 clients right now who are kind of like round 6, round 7, round 8. First round, going hard, high. We're doing this, we're doing that. We're doing housing, medication. You're going to treatment. Da-da-da-da-da. Second round, same thing. Housing, treatment, medication, family reunification, da-da-da. We're going to do all these things, and we're going to have some fun doing it. Third round. In the 5th round, okay? This is just me, because now I get to be there for 5th and 6th round for people. I'm like, pace myself. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's make sure you get there. I've already bought you 12 phones, but I'm going to buy you the 13th phone. But man, you got to keep it.
Yeah.
And then just like this, just walking with people, being patient with them, being compassionate. We're not actually allowed to get mad at our clients.
Yeah.
I'm a counselor. So when people get mad, we talk to each other like, man, you won't believe what so-and-so did. You won't believe it. And here's this client in front of us, and we're like, oh, man, how you doing?
Yeah.
We just have to compassion, right? Just bring it down.
What do you think the role of love is in all of this? I mean, honestly, because you were
really
somebody
funny.
To me you were like the personification.
It's just so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so you met the person that spoke up at the thing.
I did.
That's my girl. It's a great story, right? So she's like 15. This dude brings her into the drop-in center. I get the doctor to meet with her. We do all this stuff. And then I don't know if I told you, and then it's 6:30 at night. I'm in the car with a 15-year-old that doesn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Well, I've done this many times, but I'm still not feeling it. We're going somewhere. So then she's like, maybe I should go home. She hadn't been home for months. Drive her home. Boom. Parents open the door. Since then, it's been like just an amazing journey of treatment and support in the recovery high school. I work with the recovery high school very closely. And then doctor, all kinds of stuff that the doctor's able to do for her, that has been extremely helpful. And so now she's in the school and she's thriving. She's doing other things. She's graduating. And she always yells at me. She says, I love you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Well, Jessica Levy's up there. And she's like, I love you too. And they all know that I won't say I love you to them.
Yeah.
Because
you're in a professional role. Yeah, you're a counselor. Yeah.
So now we have this great joke. I love you, Johnny. I love you, Johnny. I know you love me too, but I know you can't say it. I love you, Johnny. Bye. It's a good joke.
Yeah.
She knows.
Yeah.
She knows I love her. Oh, just said it.
Oops. Yeah.
That'll be our first edit.
And then this passion that I have with the people I work with and I've worked with in the past, we are so passionate, and we we basically only stay around people that kind of can match our passion and energy.
Yeah.
And if you can't match our passion and energy, that's okay. A lot of people are really good at a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But we're attracted to people that have that passion and energy. And some of my coworkers are really better than a lot of things than me. They're very technologically savvy. They're really good at working housing systems that I used to think I had the jam on, and now they got the jam on it. So like we're all trying to like, I got this person, I can do that. And it's funny because one of your podcasts talked about pets, and I'd be like, we're doing this, we're getting you housing, you're going to treatment, you're gonna go back to see your grandma, whatever, and they're like, show up with a dog. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Why are you bringing that dog in here? And so my coworkers love pets.
Yeah.
This is a bias of mine. So they're like, oh my God, the dog's so great. Let's figure it out. We'll send the dog with you. And I'm like, all right.
That's why you need a team. That's why you need teammates.
You know, because I have biases and I have blind spots. And the blind spots that I have, I'm trying to unblind them. And how I unblind them? I have other people tell me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it is true too, just in, you know, I started 2 needle exchange programs at both drop-in centers against the youth care said I could not do it. And then I kept on, I presented to the board and all that. And I finally this was in a very serious time, HIV, Hep C. So I started needle exchanges in both drop-in centers. And it wasn't to be like, I'm going to do it anyway. It was because the public health need was so great at the time. And so the funny thing about harm reduction is that I've been doing it all this time. You know, and people think, oh, Johnny, he's not down with that stuff. The thing is, I've just been doing it, and I've had to think about that because, you know, we've been doing it this whole time. Hannah Fryer wrote that whole article. Yeah. She wrote the whole article. Guess what? It never said in that article.
Yeah, that's right.
Never once.
Yeah. I think there's such a desire. I don't know why this is, but everybody is always trying to bucket folks, right? And, you know, like you're this is your philosophy, or you're this, or you're this, or you're this. The people that I know who are the best in the space are like you. You know, you're intensely person-centered. What would be useful to this person? And, you know, if this is failing, then we try something else. And I think that is the solution to what ails us. It really is across the board. That intense case management is what they say. But really, again, you are so devoted to people and to figuring this out, you know, and helping them to build some self-awareness so that the recovery can be sustained. And I just really commend you. I mean, I really do, Johnny. You're a force for good. You are wildly influential in ways that you don't understand. And it is the best thing about this, is shining light on the Johnnies, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we run out of time, what's the one thing you wish folks knew, or the thing that people could support that would be the most impactful?
Oh, that's good. Because thanks for reminding me. So I came into this. Well, I was like, okay, I'm not going to embarrass my daughter. Hopefully, not my son-in-law, and hopefully, Karen Brady, the executive director of Ryther, doesn't cringe too much. So I think I might have.
I think you're 3 for 3.
I think I might have pulled it off. You know what? Ryther's been super supportive of me. I've never made a lot of money. I don't know how to make money. I've only worked for nonprofits. Turned out that's all I'll ever do. The freedom to be creative and to be adapting to different environments has been extremely important. And I think a lot of people are constricted by things that people say you can't do. So I think that does matter a lot.
Yeah. We'll share a link to Ryther so that people can learn more about it, because it is singular in our neck of the woods, at least.
Yeah, and also just the Ryther Matt team, my coworkers, Abigail Woods, Tal Rizzo, Dr. Taryn Hansen, we've developed a team that we're just constantly trying to adjust and change. I just also think this young people, like, this is the thing. Like, I've been down there a lot. I've been all around a lot. And you guys talk about this a lot. The 42-year-old chronically ill, addicted person. I care about that person a lot. But when you get to zoom in on a 17 or 19-year-old, it's a different game.
Yeah.
It's just a different game because they're young and resilient.
Yeah.
And they have been beat around. They have been tossed and turned and raped and all the awful things. Take awful things, make a list, our clients it's happened to. But then when you sit with them and, you know, take a walk with them and have coffee and get some food and do something with them, just really just embracing the beauty of that individual. Yeah. And you don't have to like them, actually, it turns out. I actually really like some of my clients. I'm taking one to a recovery Mariner game on Sunday. He doesn't know it's a recovery game.
Yeah.
You don't have to like them, but it is extremely important that you care for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me that's your secret sauce, is that folks feel like you genuinely care about them. And I think that's, from an outsider looking in and knowing the stories about you, I think your heartfelt, love for these folks, even though you won't say it, your love for these.
I won't say it to him.
But they know. They know. It's like being a coach in some ways, right? You have to sometimes be hard on them. You have to be supportive of them. But at the end of the day, they know you love them, and I think that's probably what makes you so successful. So I'm a big fan.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. You know, I was thinking about this and coming in here, and I haven't talked about the young people that are not alive. Yeah. And I haven't cried yet, so I'm not going to cry now probably, but I could. But I have a lot of young people who are not alive that I've worked with very, very closely. They're not alive. And what happens when people are not alive is we go through everything we did. We go through what we offered, what we tried, everything else. We just hardcore. And then we embrace them. And that's what I do. I still embrace them. They have families. They have, people in their life. There's other young people. And so, I'm kind of glad that we didn't talk about the people who are not alive, but I have to honor them all the time.
I really appreciate that. This is who we work for, right? Yeah.
So
thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
I love you. I can say it.
Amy Barton said she loves me.
Thanks much.
I appreciate it. I've listened to all your stuff. I really appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
And now you've been bombarded.
The Bombardin Podcast is a Barden Squared production. Executive producers are Eric Barden and Amy Barden, and video and audio production of the Bombardin Podcast is by Thread Theory Creative.